Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm holding you back from lunch. So my messages are going to be very clear, they're going to be very concise, and they're going to be giving Theresa May, Yvette Cooper, and whoever the Liberal Democrats have got, because I can't find it, serious indigestion, if not nightmares. The UK Justice and Home Affairs legal system, ladies and gentlemen, it belongs to the UK. It shouldn't be outsourced to the European Union, and UKIP will bring control of those two key areas back to the United Kingdom where it belongs. All of us should be very, very proud. British justice, it may not be absolutely perfect, but it's still the best in the world. It's been one of our finest exports, and it's one of the great legacies that we're leaving to future generations. And respect for our legal system, our judiciary, and everything that encompasses is worldwide in terms of acknowledgement. But it is absolutely criminal, ladies and gentlemen, and I use that word very deliberately, that the other three Westminster parties think they can throw it away. Throw it away. My gutless, and I do mean gutless, Labour and coalition counterparts, they meekly comply with every single directive and every guideline that comes out of Brussels, Strasbourg and Luxembourg. We're effectively outsourcing all of our key decisions on those areas, and UKIP will take that control back. Now, it's actually far worse than probably most of you and other members of the public actually understand or realise. Our Prime Minister, at this very moment in time, is preparing to hand over to Brussels bureaucrats significant powers, having, despite one of his cast-iron opt-outs, a bit like his pledges, a bit shaky these with David Cameron, but what he will do will opt out of 35 significant powers in the area of justice and home affairs, including the now infamous European arrest warrant. It seems that the coalition, and Labour for that matter, think that the version of repatriation of powers is to actually give Brussels more power and delegate more to them. Well, I'm putting you on UKIP watch, ladies and gentlemen, because UKIP intends to put an end to all of that. Criminal law, criminal procedure, sentencing law and policy, police powers, all of these crucial areas must in the future be the exclusive and sole preserve of our UK Parliament, our elected MPs, as it always has been, and it's our right that it stays that way. Only way can people like yourselves, voters out there, and critically next year, can they have any trust in the legal system, whether it's criminal or civil law. Now, of course, none of the other three Westminster parties even believe in this, they even support this, and for the last 5 years, to some degree, whether overtly or covertly, they've supported what European commissioners have done. Now, Mrs. Viviane Reding, now no longer a European Commissioner, of course, but soon exactly what she's been saying for years will be followed by her new incumbent. She made it absolutely clear that the European Union objective is to seize full control of our justice and our home affairs. Now, the EU's justice agenda, known by that lovely Orwellian title, Area of Freedom, Security and Justice, well, it's not just a spear aimed at the heart of Britain's established law. It actually signals a death sentence to it, and that is not acceptable. Now, the European Convention of Human Rights was a response to past terrible crimes. We all know that. But it was never intended to perform the function of a tightly drafted and crafted Westminster statute. But quite frankly, Labour's been no better on any of this, because they were responsible for that UK statute, and they were being absolutely reckless at that point and in subsequent years, as have the coalition, with the unintended consequences. Now, week in and week out, ladies and gentlemen, we hear of serious offenders. They're terrorists, they're rapists, they're robbers, they're paedophiles. They are able to dodge deportation by proclaiming rights to a family life or persecution if they go home. Well, UKIP says, and here's your first message, Mrs. May, as a priority, we will repeal the Human Rights Act and replace it with a UK Bill of Rights. The UK has had, via its coalition government, plenty of time to address the many flaws and problems that have arisen in justice and home affairs. Have they done anything, ladies and gentlemen? Put it on the back of a postage stamp, what they've done. Absolutely nothing. And they've lost the faith of the people in our justice and home affairs system. Rights are being trampled upon with impunity, and it's got to stop, and it will stop under UKIP. As an absolute priority, UKIP will take back full and exclusive control of our legal system from Brussels. And if I get my way, I will personally deliver the P45s to do it. Now, despite the UK Parliament consistently reaffirming that it is not minded to give the right to vote at elections to those in prison, it does absolutely nothing but sit on the prison fence. And of course, there's the Strasbourg judges pulling the puppet strings and repeatedly saying that the UK must give the vote to at least some prisoners. Well, here's my very next clear message. On UKIP's watch, not one single prisoner will vote in any election, whether it's for a parish council, or whether it's to put a UKIP MP in the House of Commons in May next year. No ifs, no buts, no votes. We've had 3 Westminster parties, very, very quiet on one key aspect, though, and that is Article 6 of the European Union Treaty, which commits the UK to signing up to the European Convention in its own right. Now, this ought to be a very big red light, but nothing of the like to our 3 other Westminster parties. As Nigel established back in 2011, the UK has no opt-out from this exercise. The EU already regards the European Convention and its jurisprudence as part of the primary law of the EU. So once the UK has signed up to the European Convention, It will be embedded there through our membership of the European Union. If for no other reason, we have got to leave the EU so that we can leave that convention. Now, the last few weeks, ladies and gentlemen, have highlighted many people's absolutely worst fears regarding European Union interference in our legal system. We've seen the use and application of the European arrest warrant and the European investigation order. Now, UKIP is committed to extraditing criminals for prosecution after due process of law. And UKIP will continue to adhere to that principle of innocent until proven guilty, with the right immediately to take legal advice and seek bail if it is appropriate. But UKIP will not tolerate or accept administrative rendition of British people to European countries so that they can languish in jail whilst an examining magistrate ponders on whether to charge them, and if so, with what offence. As we have seen, the absolutely appalling application of the European arrest warrant proved to be a betrayal not only of British justice and the rule of law, but it caused immense and unnecessary harm and upset to innocent people. On UKIP's watch, there will never, ever be another Aisha King case, and there will never, ever be the abuse and misuse of the European arrest warrant by UK police forces. UKIP will make sure on their watch that can never happen again. And let me move on to my other bête noire, the European investigation order. No longer will this handy instrument enable a foreign judge or police officer to order British investigating authorities, such as the police, to search people's homes, to inspect their bank accounts, to trace their financial history, and to intercept their communications. That will not happen. Now, UKIP is committed, everyone, absolutely committed, to solving crime and dealing with crime. But we also recognise that the resources out there are finite. And therefore, our next absolute key point will be ensure that police forces are devoted to solving crime in the United Kingdom, in the British Isles, and not used to solve shoplifting offences in European countries or investigating tax habits and habits in other European countries. If it's in the UK, it belongs in the UK, and it will be used for the UK. But before my Labour, my Conservative and my Liberal Democrat colleagues try and trip us up and say, does that mean you won't help any longer? Yes, of course we will help. As we always have done, if it's a serious crime, UKIP will make sure the help, the assistance and the resource is there. But it will be done in an appropriate fashion. So the clear message, ladies and gentlemen, is that we will stand up and we will ensure non-compliance with completely impractical and inappropriate European Union schemes. In the last few hours, I've spoken to a number of you who've explained that they are members of the police force, retired in some instances, some of you still serving. But the very clear message you have given me and that I've heard over the last few weeks is that our police force is struggling. The government cuts have gone too far. And the announcement only a few days ago to eliminate police and crime commissioners, well, that's tinkering round the edges, what the Labour Party just loves to do. But what actually is needed is a whole restructuring of the police force, because it needs bringing up to date, it needs bringing into the modern world, and it needs to be fit for purpose in the United Kingdom. So we will make sure that we get rid of this disparity of lots of little fiefdoms out there, no sharing of information and resources and data and whatever else that they've got. We'll take away those barriers and we'll make a police force fit for the future. Now, just like Patrick, I will unveil in due course the costs involved with that. But let me give you just one idea that we have looked at, we've researched, we've evaluated, and we know it can work. And that's giving our police forces new technology. If a cyclist in London can wear a head camera to record a crime, our police forces can have a smart tablet or they can have a head and lapel camera. It's not rocket science, but it works, and we'll make sure that they're given that as just one example of making and bringing the police force into the future and making it fit for purpose. But we also, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to address the problems in our prisons. We've heard, I'm sure, all of you, what is going on there. Very low-level reporting, but almost every week some major problem out there in one of our prisons. We do need to learn from what is developing as good practice across the world. And if that means taking from the United States to encourage skilled and non-skilled prisoners to actually help others who are in the same prison, that can be done. And it's cost-effective and it delivers results. And that's what we will do. So, UKIP would put a priority on a new analysis of the whole prison system, take account of best practice from other countries, and come forward with a fully costed structure for best practice in our prisons. And I give you that commitment as your Home Affairs and Justice spokesperson. Lunch is nearly there, everybody, nearly there. In conclusion, we in the UK led the way for hundreds of years in the development of what we now think of as British justice and protection of traditional freedoms. UKIP can lead the way again with a modern UK Bill of Rights. No more foreign judges overriding our democracy. No more exploitation of human rights at the expense of victims. UKIP will end the outsourcing of justice to Brussels and replace it with control by Parliament, whose members are answerable to the electorate. UKIP will end tick-box justice and the European arrest warrant and its tick-box justice. UKIP will instigate swift negotiation, and I mean swift negotiation, of bilateral extradition treaties with our friends and our neighbours, so that they have to justify extradition and not resort to arbitrary rendition. UKIP will negotiate changes to international law and introduce measures such as a Foreign Enlistment Act that enable us to deprive people of citizenship when they take part in armed conflicts in ways that harm the UK. If you want to hurt us, we'll hurt you. No UK passport. Now, UKIP does not do the mealy-mouthed political correctness that has exposed hundreds of young people in Rotherham to years of horrific systemic abuse. And let us be rid of those who presided over their care and who seemingly took a long time to see the writing on the wall and resign. UKIP will deliver the police, the courts and the prison service and the probation service, victims and witness units with the right resources, the right personnel, chosen on merit, everyone, on their expertise, not on the grounds of multicultural agendas that actually don't deliver a system fit for purpose. And to put an end to any concept of us being little Englanders, UKIP will dare to be radical. UKIP will dare and be prepared to take on new ideas in the realm of criminal justice. Now, some of these are going to be tough, and they're going to have the liberal elite choking over their breakfast. More indigestion, I say, for them. But we'll also be prepared to invest in, and we will be able to provide the costing that will stand up to the scrutiny that our political opponents will throw at us. My final message to you, everyone. The future of UK justice and home affairs rests with UKIP, the only Westminster party prepared to challenge EU institutions and remove entirely the influence of Brussels, Strasbourg and Luxembourg over our affairs. I leave you with one key message: taking